What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswaves. So we have a busy week coming up, busy day today, and I'm going to kind of explain to you what we're going to be doing today, or at least some of the schedule. There's the Indie World event that's going to be taking place at about an hour after this video goes up, depending on when you see it, of course, at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. It's set for about 20 minutes of new indie games, and we kind of know what's going to be there at this point. I'll go into that a little bit, as we saw a listing that popped up that tells us at least what we believe to be one of those shadow drops, but the plan here is to live stream the opening night event that's going to take place later on this afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. It's about 2 hours, whereas the Indie World event is 20 minutes. It wouldn't be as long of a stream, so I think I'm going to cover the Indie World event after it takes place with a video for you guys, just kind of going over everything, and then later on this afternoon we will stream. So make sure you subscribe, notifications on, so you'll get notified there, because it sounds like they have quite a bit to show on opening night, and it's going to be really fun, is what I'm thinking. So you definitely want to tune in for that. Make sure you guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to hit the like button and share to help out. It really does help. And we're going to start today with a story about the Nintendo Switch. Apparently, there was a replacement plan going on that people were reporting that they had contacted Nintendo about a Switch that they had purchased after a certain date in July, of course, with the new Switch that was coming out, and they were getting them straight up changed out, apparently. These were posts that took place that were on Reddit and other forums. However, Go Nintendo did reach out to Nintendo, and this is what they got back in response. We do not have a Nintendo Switch exchange program. We always want players to enjoy their Nintendo Switch systems, and if anything ever gets in the way of that, we encourage them to visit support.nintendo.com for support or to contact our consumer support team. So here's what probably happened here. Originally, it was after July 17th, they would have replaces what people were reporting. I have a feeling that they called customer service. Customer service like, well, you just bought it, so how about we change that out for you? Nintendo will do some stuff at times, really to help you out. Microsoft has done this pretty well, a lot, actually. If you played a game for like 10 hours, I've seen people get full refunds for it, which is crazy with Microsoft, but that's all I can assume, is that just one case, somebody happened to get it changed out and they made a big thing about it online. It seems like they're not changing this stuff out. So unfortunately, if you bought one of the older Switches, I guess, after July 17th, you're kind of stuck with it at this point. Make sure you're looking for the red box, okay? All red box, that's the one you want. Also, we had talked previously about how the Anthem producer was leaving or had left, and now we're finding out that the Dragon Age lead producer is also leaving Bioware, and this is weird. He posted a whole bunch of tweets, as you're seeing here, just a few, where they talk about cleaning out their office and how they're going to enjoy the game now as a fan. This was Fernando Mello, and what's going on over at Bioware right now? Because all I see are people leaving and projects are supposed to be getting done. Anthem is supposed to be a game that's going to be going on for a while, so I guess in that capacity, the producer could technically move on. They could have a team that can pretty much see it through the rest of the way as they come up with new ideas, but the lead producer for a game that doesn't even technically have the title yet, Dragon Age 4, and just leaving, I don't know. It's very strange that's happening. It's also very possible that some other studios are going to pop up and then they'll have them. Or maybe that the initiative with Microsoft keeps picking up different producers and everyone, so we'll see there. But odd stuff there at Bioware. Also, anyone who uses the Citra 3DS emulator for streaming or anything like that, you're probably going to really like this news. It's going to get you kind of excited, because they announced on Twitter through this tweet here that you can now load custom textures. There were a few examples that were put out, nothing like mind-blowing yet, because what this will allow them to do is go in and change out textures with higher resolution textures for HD packs, most likely. We've seen those with Nintendo 64 games and a few others where people are using AI and stuff to kind of work out all of the textures and replace them, but to have the ability to do this in something like the 3DS that, when blown up, can look pretty ugly on bigger screens, especially if you're playing on like a 24, 25-inch monitor and you blow up the images that were meant for a tiny little screen. Yeah, that doesn't look great. But to have texture just being changed out with like HD textures is really cool, and we'll see what happens here. I'm sure some of the classics will have that stuff changed out. Anything with Mario, Zelda, I guess Pokemon and stuff, but maybe they'll get creative and do some other really crazy ones. We'll see. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Check this out. EA is a funny company, aren't they? We've talked about EA several times. Generally, it has to do with microtransactions or something crazy they're doing. We did talk about Need for Speed last week, and I'm kind of optimistic on that game. We're going to get some gameplay later on this afternoon, actually, at that Gamescom opening night. But they talked about the Switch at their last investors meeting, and they didn't talk about it as like a positive thing that they're rushing towards. However, it seems like they may have changed their tune, or there's miscommunication inside of EA. It's very odd because this is a statement that was given to Game Informer during an interview saying, "We invested with FIFA, we had good success there. I love that we have such a great global reach and global presence on that platform with that game. We are absolutely looking at more Switch games in our portfolio, so more to come on that. We're not going to announce anything as of yet, but it is absolutely a platform we're looking at for some of our more successful games." This was from EA's Chief Studios Officer, Laura Meal, and I'm a little confused on this because we just heard Andrew Wilson basically not want to talk about the Switch at all. Now, if that's because they do have plans, they were trying to brush it off for now, that remains to be seen. I don't know if I 100% believe that one. But yeah, EA eventually cannot ignore the install size of the Switch, especially after it passes the Xbox One, which will probably happen at the end of this year, at which point they would probably look at the Switch and say, okay, yeah, it's a viable platform. It's not the Wii U, basically, although EA had actually quite a bit of support on the Wii U. It just didn't go that well, and that's probably why a lot of people are figuring that they're not running to the Switch right now. They got burned after going from the Wii, which, sold really well and worked out there, to the Wii U, and then it didn't work out. But to hear about them saying there are more successful games, you would immediately think of sports games like Madden, obviously, right? That seems like that makes sense. Madden, anything along that line with those microtransactions. FIFA's already there because of Ultimate Team and all of that. But to get Frostbite over, I guess, would be the next step. And if they're willing to invest in that and make that work, then you have all kinds of stuff that could probably come over. And apart from just Madden, there's also like Apex Legends that they haven't moved over to the Switch at this time. You also have any of the EA originals that slowly seem to come over, like Unraveled 2, but Sea of Solitude just came out, and that's not at all on the Switch. And then you also have NHL, which they barely talk about, but that's on the Xbox One and the PS4. But I think the big one is going to be Madden. That's the one that I keep looking at and saying, well, whenever EA's ready, I guess that's what's going to make the jump first to the Switch. When I read this statement, though, I pretty much thought of The Sims immediately, because even the investor was like, hey, The Sims, that would probably work. It's just funny to see this as EA says one thing in the investor's call, and then now they're saying something completely different to Game Informer. It really does make you look at EA and wonder just how much chaos it is in the background with everything going on over there. But we'll see. Here's the thing. Everything I think that they've announced for this year is done for EA. Maybe they have one more little surprise at Gamescom, but for the most part, Need for Speed isn't on the Switch, Madden's not on the Switch, and next year, maybe they'll start doing some stuff with the Switch, but I don't even think NBA Live is going to be on there, which is weird because 2K is, right? NBA 2K, so you figure they might want to compete, but NBA Live seems to have all of its own problems right now, but that's when we're really going to see it next year. Is Madden on the Switch, right? If it's not, well then I don't really know what to tell you. The Sims, I think, is a slam dunk. I think that's coming, but we'll see, because they're at least saying that they're looking at the Switch, and by next year, when it's 50 to 60 million units for the Switch, then yeah, they probably have to come over just by default. Next up, let's talk a little bit about Gamescom, as that's happening today, starting with the opening night that's going to take place this afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Jeff Keighley's going to be running it. He showed an entire list of just a ton of different developers and publishers are going to be there. And then he went on further, hyping it up as he should, right? And he said this on Twitter, making mention of 25 games and that it would run for about 2 hours in length. So he showed a massive list of publishers, developers. We hear about Sega, who, by the way, keeps teasing something. They keep showing the little monitor that has like the line that goes across in spikes, and now it's showing different symbols. I'm not really sure what the deal is with Sega, but they're definitely teasing at least something they're excited about that they're trying to build up. It's not like they were like, oh, we'll be there, just a new AAA game. They're actively running like a social media campaign for whatever this game is. So I'm kind of excited to see what Sega has. Hopefully it's good and it doesn't let us all down. But a ton of other stuff there that they mentioned. Like I said, Need for Speed's going to get its gameplay reveal there, and several other games. 25 games in about 2 hours. I think that's pretty good, right? That should keep everything moving, hopefully fairly quickly. We'll see if he brings people out and they have to talk and stuff on like a couch or something, and then it feels like it drags. I'm hoping it's more like the Game Awards, where when you get those like reveals and stuff, they move pretty quick. But looking forward to Gamescom. I think it's going to be a fun week. Next up, let's talk about one of those games that most likely is getting shadow dropped this morning in the Indie World Direct that they're going to show. The other one is a little more of a guess, although it's probably a thing as well. But this one was shown and discovered as it was updated, as you're seeing here. And this is from Simon Time on Twitter, pointing out that Super Hot for the Switch just got an update. And you can see it's been uploaded to CDN and everything. That basically means that, yeah, it's coming. Super Hot appears to be one of the shadow drops, and that's kind of exciting. We're going to see how it runs on the Switch when it comes to the gyro controls, possibly for the Joy-Con controllers. But if you've never played Super Hot, it is a really cool shooting game with like time control elements and stuff. It's really, really neat. It's better in VR, and I'd be shocked, to be honest, if they did anything with Labo, like Labo VR support. I don't think that's gonna be the case, but it is on like the Xbox One and everything. You can play it without VR, but like if you get the PlayStation VR and Super Hot, it is such a cool thing to try out. Also, HTC Vive and all of that as well works with it, but I think a lot of people have probably played it through the PlayStation VR, but this is neat. Seeing Super Hot on the Switch should be fun. Again, I think the best experience for it is in VR, but if you've never played it, it's worth checking out. And the fact that it's going to shadow drop is exciting. You know, I like those announcements. Hey, it's coming out right now. You can go get it. Now, the other one is we're not 100% sure on, but it could be a Hotline Miami collection of some kind. That would probably get people pretty excited as well. But yeah, according to Daniel Ahmad, they are both hot titles. So we got Super Hot, we got possibly Hotline Miami collection of some kind, and then Hori. It's shaping up to be a pretty good indie world from what we're hearing with all of these rumors and speculation and everything. And with our last bit of news, let's take a look at the Switch Lite accessories that have been announced. I saw Hori announce a whole bunch of them, and one caught my eye because it does kind of, I guess, fix one of the things I kept bringing up over and over and over again about the Switch Lite that was just going to be strange, and that was how it was going to operate without a kickstand. Do you remember that? I said, okay, somebody's gonna have to hold it, you know, like this, and then everyone's gonna like play in front of them or something. Anyway, here is one of the accessories that I think is probably the one that a lot of people are gonna look at. I think it might be a little overpriced, just a touch, but it is a stand. Here you go. It's the dual USB play stand for $30, $29.99. And the idea here is that it'll hold it up at different angles, and it does plug into the Switch Lite. And then it also has USB Type A ports on either side. And I believe it also has a charger that will run to the back of it that you can use your I guess your officially licensed one. It is an officially licensed product from Nintendo with Hori and everything. And I look at that, and that's probably the thing that at least makes sense for it. So you travel with that. It seems pretty small. You pop the Switch Lite on, and then you can plug in controllers to either side on the USB Type A ports, and then you can run your power to it so it continues to charge. They also had different things like the protector. These are things I would assume would be there, right? Like the plastic, hard plastic shells and everything that you use around it, because it's all one piece now, so it's a bit easier for them to develop for and create these products. This one actually appears to protect all the way around the edges and everything, so if you drop it, it hopefully won't be damaged. And they also have hybrid system armor that appears like it has more of a cushion to it, kind of. It looks more heavy duty, and then screen protectors and everything will be, I think, pretty standard. But yes, the dual USB play stand at least exists to fix an issue that I was trying to figure out how it would work, considering they said you can sync everything up and you can play all of these games, but it doesn't have a kickstand, so it doesn't really work in tabletop mode. Well, there you go. You get a stand, I guess, through Hori for $30. So I guess technically it's $230 then, because you get the stand. That's if you're gonna play tabletop mode. This is definitely marketed as a personal system, one per person. But hey, if you want to do tabletop mode, just get the stand. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This one is from Harlan, saying, since Microsoft owns Double Fine, they can make a new Brutal Legends with Jack Black. That game was really, really cool. I don't know if a lot of people necessarily played it, because according to sales, it was like, I think Tim Schafer said at one point it was like 1.5 million sold or something. Those are like the last reported numbers we had. And during the 360 PS3 days, where there were very large install sizes at the time, that's not huge, I guess. And also it was on PC and everything. I believe EA published it for consoles, and then Double Fine published it for PC. So EA, of course, being in the mix, saw those sales numbers, and they were like, that didn't work out. But I did like the game. It was cool. Jack Black did a great job voicing. I believe they had Ozzy Osbourne in there as well, voicing character. And it was this weird mashup of like action, adventure, some RPG, RTS elements. It was really neat. It's not even expensive anymore. You can get it on PC, I think, fairly cheap. What's really interesting about this is there were some reports that came out that music that was used in the game spiked heavily in terms of sales, like jumped massively. So I guess if Microsoft and Double Fine want to get together and do it again, I'm sure Jack Black is up for it. And to be honest, if you do music, like heavy metal music, you might want to like do whatever you can to get into that game if they ever do a second one. Because apparently it'll help your sales heavily, but that's a neat idea, and I would love to see that and try it out. I'd be curious how it would have done without like the weird RTS elements being kind of pushed into it, but I guess that's also what made the game unique. But I think it also turned a lot of people off of it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's EA doing the strange backpedal on the Switch situation. You know, we don't really care too much about the Switch. All of a sudden, they're like, oh yeah, we're looking into the Switch for all of our like successful games, and we'll work on moving it over. Almost like a bit of a PR spin. Big quick turnaround there on all of that. But let me know what you think about that, and if you'd want EA to start bringing things like Madden, for example, over to the Switch. Also, what do you think about the Switch Lite accessories? The dual stand for $30, maybe. And what about Brutal Legend 2? I think that's a great idea. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.